have some Burning Abyss action for you today. Superheavy Samurai is back, and it appears that we have some other meta for you as well. Make sure to smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So we're going to be starting off with a Burning Abyss variant here. Actually playing triple copies of Gen and one copy of Ken. Now, this is actually kind of interesting because we haven't really seen a lot of people exploring this in like Burning Abyss. And most of these variants that do want to play this are typically using it with talents. But this build is not using talents or thrust, actually. We're just using this as a level 3 package to kind of hand sculpt our hand and kind of adjust some of the ratios and things to kind of allow the deck a little bit easier of a chance to kind of do its thing. I mean, it's kind of nice to have like a little sub extender here, so you can kind of go ahead and you know, maybe search a little bit easier and kind of set up. But this is interesting. I haven't seen a lot of people really considering, you know, the possibility of trying out ideas like this, especially in Burning Abyss. Now, for the rest of Burning Abyss, I mean, we have some board-breaking cards. We actually have a lot of board-breaking cards here. I mean, you have Raigeki's Dark Rulers and Lightning Storms in here. And, of course, this build is doing the oh-so-classic Mass Change 2 shenanigans, where you're going to attempt to roll through your opponent with Yield Dark Law here and set up a Macrocosmo. Yes, the deck, the fact that you do have access to Mass Change 2 to kind of roll through the opponent is absolutely hilarious at the end of the day. So don't underestimate what Burning Abyss can do. Yes, the deck does feel a lot more rogue than it has ever before, but Ken and Gen do add in a nice little piece of flavor into the deck, giving this deck a chance to try to overcome some of the things that it necessarily might not have been able to before. Once again, I mean, when you're playtesting variants and things like that and testing out these different ideas, you have a lot of things to kind of consider out here for tech choices, and this deck being a Macrocosmo deck too also helps out a lot. Next up here we have Superheavy Samurai. They are not messing around here. This is the full package. All right, 40 cards, by the way. Standard hand traps. We're getting some Revolution Synchron play in here as well. To be honest with you, most of the people I feel like have given up on Superheavy Samurai combo line because with the loss of the Link 1, you now have to invest a lot more into the combo lines. And that's not necessarily a problem in my personal opinion. It's just you're going to have to work for results a lot harder now. And that's... I don't know, it's risk versus reward. I do want to say down here in the side deck, though, seeing Medion the Time Lord being one of these cards that, yeah, your opponent literally can't destroy it. It's going to be able to literally clean up all the monsters on your field. So that means that if your opponent is setting up a huge field of monsters, and depending on the situation you find yourself in, you can rely on Medion as a clutch to go ahead and, you know, clean up whatever field is going to be that issue for you. And I think a lot of people kind of underestimated this card in a lot of the earlier monster heavy builds, but to be fair, we're in a lot more heavy of a format where more monsters are more issues. So actually having this as an out down here is good. And of course, a good old Swage de Floor down here, getting the chance to do its thing for cleanup, and of course the triple Archfiend Eccentric as the spell and trap removal. The extra deck looks absolutely fine. I see that we are typically rolling King Calamity across the keyboard to make sure that, you know, the opponent can't actually play the game, but traditionally everything here looks fine. You just have to work a lot harder for the combo lines in order to get the maximized results, and you should be good. But hey, to the Superheavy Samurai players, honestly, give this a shot. I think that this might actually be something that you're going to genuinely enjoy, at least in terms of some cool results. What else we got going on back here? Oh boy, it's my arch nemesis, Purrely. I swear, every time I play against this deck, they always have the draw 4 combo with these sleepy memories, or the draw 6 combo, and I just lose to it. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, they're always going to have the leap, and then it's just, oh, okay, well, I guess I lose. Now, the biggest things that I can tell you about this deck, Crossout Designator is still going to be the MVP of many formats. This card single-handedly ensures that this deck is going to get the chance to get going, and that's very, very important important. All right, don't underestimate what a fantastic defensive card can actually do. Also, DD Crow. I will say the DD Crow has felt a little bit less impactful than it has in a lot of these other formats, but you do need to have this card. All right, trust me. Play this. I see that we are also playing Protector of the Ancient Moons down here. You can make an argument to try out an SP Little Knight. It kind of depends on how your deck building goes, or if you're, dare I say, playing purely on a budget. If you can't afford an SP Little Knight, this is still going to be something that you can consider. Azalea is also a fantastic option as well. It just, once again, comes down to your deck building and what you feel is going to be the best little options. We are playing a little Bysteel package. Evenlies are fine. All of the standard board breaking cards that you're going to need to help you out while playing purely are all check. Honestly, there's not a lot of innovation that you kind of get with this deck right now. It feels very set in stone for the things that the build wants to do, and because you've pretty much been figured out at this point in time, you don't really. There's not much you can really change, so kind of keep that in mind when you're approaching this deck. With what little tech slots you do get. I mean, you could maybe drop out a book and play two, but I feel like at that point you're just harming the deck more so than anything. Next up is some Rika Sun Avalon, and I do want to say that we've been seeing a lot more work with this Disc Coliseum. The fact that this stupid card allows you to recur back resources is actually insane. I think a lot of people tend to forget that not only does this get a dump, you also can recur back a Thurion in your graveyard. All right, like, hello, free resource management is always going to be insane. The biggest things I can also tell you about this list, I see that we are playing Forbidden Droplet right now. One of the biggest payoffs with this deck is because you are effectively a one-card combo here through like the Lone Fires and the Lokis, you have, you can burn off 4 cards from your hand to negate a whole board, depending on what your opponent has set up. All right, like, that's not going to hurt you, because as long as the last card is a Loki, you're able to start full combo and go. Most of the side deck down here, I feel like, has been pretty perfected at this point. Another thing that you can make an argument for is, like, do you really need triple evenly matched? If we could just thrust on into the evenly, can we cut down on numbers? You're playing 44. I think it's fine either way. Once again, I mean, you come down to your deck building. Like, do you think that you need evenlies to kind of bridge out, the gap of things? Or do you think that you can overcome a lot of the weakness that we're kind of seeing with this deck? And a lot of that's going to come down to deck building. I mean, once again, you have thrust to toggle into these. Make sure you can put the pressure on the opponent. Also, shout out to the Harpy's Feather Duster in the main deck. You need this, especially with Rescue Ace turning into the annoying deck that it is right now. This deck has a very hard time playing through a Rescue Ace set 4, especially going second. So, things like this in the evenly are going to be ways to kind of bridge that gap so you can kind of go ahead and capitalize on playing the game. So good stuff. I'm happy to see that this is still functioning. And our last list is some Dragon Link. Coming in at 45 cards. Somebody's going to go, that's a little bit ridiculous. Honestly, Dragon Link at its current inception, you could try to play the Diabellstar stuff. It does open up some really cool doors for like combo lines. You can also try out the Horus package as well with some Assault Synchrons. You've got ideas that you can warp this deck to have a little bit more fun with it. There's nothing wrong with that. But the more I look at these builds, the more that they feel very streamlined. I personally have no complaints with the way that this main deck looks. It looks fantastic on paper. 45 cards get you to where you need to be. Having the thrust in the side deck are fine. Starly Shayford is literally the best gosh darn normal summon that this deck has going for it. It literally turns the entire deck on and allows this deck to do its thing. And of course, now that the deck has access to SP Little Knight, now we have even more forms of interruption to make sure that, you guessed it, we can board break and do our thing. Thanks, Stark. I love the fact that we can abuse all these little crazy elements out here. So those are what we're looking at in terms of the decks for today. A lot of very interesting things are kind of cooking up back here with some of these ideas. I'm loving the ideas that people are trying to do, and obviously things like Burning Abyss and things like Superheavy Samurai kind of coming back out of the woodwork here is a good indicator of how random our format actually can be. And, the more that we will see some of these random things kind of capitalizing and doing their thing, it's actually very good. So please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. And of course, if you guys have any decks that you've been successful with, please feel free to send them on over to me on social media. You guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.